I would like to remind our community that the purpose of our board meetings is to conduct the business of the district first and for everyone to learn about the district in a safe and productive manner. First on our agenda is community comments. Does that feel right? Okay, yeah, all right. Community comments are an opportunity for our community to share their ideas and opinions with the board. Input is welcome and valued. It is our duty to keep it safe and respectful for everyone, students, staff, and our community. This is not a time for discussion or debate. If you have materials for the board, please give them to the board secretary, who will then distribute them to the board members after the meeting. Letters to the board are always welcome, and each of us reads the input. Requests for information should be requested as outlined in policy KBA-AR. An individual desiring to speak will have indicated their desire prior to the board meeting. An individual with a disability will be given an equal opportunity to participate in board meetings. This may include someone speaking on their behalf if their disability or other medical need limits their ability to attend in person. Board policy also speaks to accommodations available. A speaker will be required to give their name, city of residence, and the group, if any, that is represented. Tonight, we have more patrons desiring to present comments than time allotted. My authority as board chair allows me to reduce the presentation time for individual speakers to 2 minutes this evening, with first priority to students, next by order of sign up and residents. Speakers may offer objective criticisms of district operations that are of a concern to them. The board is restricted from hearing and will not consider complaints regarding any individual staff member or any person connected with the district. Comments that make a staff member identifiable to the public, even without their specific name, violate the policy. As an organization centered around youth and their positive development, all speakers will model respectful public comment and be mindful of civil discourse. We will keep the order of speakers announced by me, the chair. So first we have Michael Corbus speaking for Kylie Corbus. Michael, you approach and give us please state your name, city of residence, and group, if any, and then the 2-minute clock will begin.
Go on.
You're getting one time in the beginning, and if there's time allotted, there will be another time at the end.
At the end, do you know what order I signed up on? What order that my name came in? I know it came in later because I signed up later. Is it behind all these people?
It was later. Yes, it was behind most everybody. Yes.
All right. Okay, I'll try to make it quick. I want to start out tonight by addressing each one of you, the board members and the district decision makers, by saying I understand that you did not expect to be challenged in the way that we have challenged you on these issues we have raised for the last 2 years when we've been speaking. Many of you have been caught off guard by all of it because for a number of years leading up to us speaking out, there has been little pushback to the clear and obvious ideological bias that exists in the district. Many parents and students would rather flee the public school for private or homeschool alternatives than try to change an entrenched ideological bureaucracy that is built on self-preservation and telling people of faith and conservatives that they are the problem in the ideology that is taught and hung on banners on walls in classrooms. So because of this, you have gotten away with the bias we speak of. Now, since we are not fleeing the public schools and are committed to reforming the district, we have found that we get a lot of rhetoric said from the district leadership without thinking through the ramifications of what they said, or even if it's true. One example is in an email from the superintendent earlier this year, where she said to me she is wanting to find some middle ground. Middle ground. There is no semblance of middle ground in this district where people with differing viewpoints are given equal representation on the walls of classrooms. So wanting to find middle ground sounds nice, but the evidence shows that it is a fake kind of middle ground, where progressive identities and causes are honored on walls of classrooms, while conservative identities and causes, we do have them, are given no representation on walls, and a culture of don't say that or people will hate you is allowed to persist. It's fake middle ground, another nice sounding phrase, which is the very opposite of what it really is. Or how about diversity, equity, and inclusion? Another nice sounding thing. But in reality, when it comes to conservative identities, causes, and people groups celebrated on the walls of classrooms with special days, weeks, and months, there is no diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is more like divide, exclude, and ignore conservatives. It can't be like this anymore. 3 weeks ago, we formally made a request. Just let me finish up, okay? I'll be gone. Formally made a request because I want the union to hear this too.
Your time is up.
The school board that a policy created so conservative identities, people groups, and causes
Thank you.
can also be honored in the district alongside progressive ones.
Christy
Everybody's got a
Woodruff.
cold tonight. Okay. Are you working?
Thank you. Thank you. Christy Woodruff, it is your time. You could state your name, city of residence, and the group, if any.
Do you have to push a button or something?
No, it's there. Get that.
Testing. Okay, thank you. My name is Christy Woodruff and I live in Portland. I have been a speech language pathologist with North Clackamas for 8 years. I am here tonight because we are at a breaking point. There are 24 SLPs in the district who serve 1,500 students. This is 9% of the entire district and 54% of students in special education. Our caseloads are significantly larger than state and national averages. According to the American Speech and Hearing Association, the recommended maximum number is 40. The average SLP's caseload is 48 nationwide, 50 in Oregon, and several nearby districts have caseload caps of 50. Our district has an average of 72 for a 1.0 FTE and a range of 55 to 140 for the equivalent of a 1.0. We are not simply overworked, we are exploited. Our district has notified us that next year, a 1.0 SLP will have a minimum of 50 students at elementary, 60 at middle, 70 at high, and then 1 day of SLPA support for each additional 10 students. So a high school SLP could have 100 students with the justification that they receive 3 days of SLPA support. Having clear guidance regarding SLP allocations is a step in the right direction, but is ultimately a Band-Aid and not a solution. Our caseloads remain significantly above recommended best practice. As well, SLPAs are not a replacement for SLPs and require lesson planning, supervision, and ongoing training, and they are unable to do tasks that SLPs can conduct, such as screenings, evaluations, and writing IEPs. Clearly, the answer is to hire more SLPs. And research has a number of negative impacts for large caseloads, including poorer student outcomes, inability to individualize instruction, poor job satisfaction and retention, burnout, and reduced collaboration with teachers and staff. Thank you very much.
Sue Boyce. Sue Boyce, it's your,
I do have something for the secretary and I don't know who that is.
thank you. And again, if you could state your name and city of residence, and then your time will start.
My name is Sue Boyes. I live in Oak Grove. Tonight I come to you wearing several different hats as a parent in the district, as a teacher. I've been a teacher for 29 years, 25 have been in North Clackamas. And then the final I come as a taxpayer. No matter what hat I'm wearing, I beg you to offer everything you can in your power to reduce class size and support our struggling students. During my career, I have seen education change more than you could know. My first class had 23 students with a 2-hour assistant. My largest class in this district had 40 students, 40 students, third graders, with no assistant. I had 20% of those students were on a written plan of assistance, whether it's an IEP, ELD, 504, or TAG. I also had one student with anxiety who was not on a written plan. Class size has been an issue for about 20 years, but it's worse now than ever because the kids have more extreme needs. These children have unmet needs that are causing major disruptions to the learning. Teachers cannot help students who are having a meltdown and teach the rest of the class at the same time. Currently, I have 25 students in my class, by which olden days standards would be great, but in reality, it's not. I have 52% of my students who have written plans of assistance, 504s, IEP, ELD, or TAG. Additionally, I have 3 students with anxiety issues, including panic attacks, who do not have written plans. At this point, I would like to tell you that my story is not the exception. It is the rule. I am simply one of the brave enough to come here and tell you the truth. Even with 40 children, I was able to teach the curriculum I was asked to teach. I felt pride that I was making a difference. Now I am more exhausted than ever. I feel intense guilt because I cannot help my students with all of their needs. Under the current conditions, I simply cannot teach what I am expected to teach. At this point, if you ask teachers what they need, we would tell you we need more people. We need more bodies. I need more people in the room to help with meltdown. I need more people who are there to help kids calm down. I can't do it all myself. We can't even teach what we are given now. I don't need more PD. I don't need more emails I don't have time to read. As a taxpayer, please make class sizes smaller and help those kids and help your teachers before no one is a teacher anymore. Thank you.
Anna Shepherd. State your name and city of residence, and then your time will start.
My name is Anna Shepherd. I live in Portland, and I'm a teacher in Clackamas. Is that right? The last one? Okay, sorry. Thank you for the chance to speak tonight. I want to preface this statement by telling you how lucky I feel to be an educator here in North Clackamas. I love my job. I admire the people I work with. My students are amazing. I know this issue of class size is really complicated. There's no easy solution. I don't expect a quick fix. I want to be part of the solution. I realize that the district is reporting an average elementary class size of 24.2, but at my school, our first grade has an average of 27, second grade an average of 30, one class is at 31, and our fourth grade has an average of 29. I've had a class of 30 this year, currently 29, but I've already heard a new student will be coming. I plan 12 to 13 different lessons every day. These lessons include whole group instruction, small group instruction, and additional lessons that are tailored for individual students who need additional academic or emotional support. I regularly assess 29, soon to be 30 students in each subject area, analyze their data, prepare and plan responsive lessons for each child. I have students who can barely read. I also have students who are reading well beyond grade level and many levels in between. The same needs present themselves in other subject areas. On top of academics, I also need to meet the 29 student social emotional needs for 6 hours every day. But the reality is that the few students with intense needs get most of my attention. And I feel like I have kids I barely know beyond academics because I don't have the time. With 29 students, I'm sure you can imagine everything takes longer. Transitions from one subject to another, traveling around the school, getting out Chromebooks and waiting in line to put them away. Distractions increase because there's less space and more noise. Ultimately, fewer voices are heard. I'm deeply concerned that many of my students will begin third grade below grade level in reading, writing, and math, in part because I physically don't have the time to meet their needs. My classroom is always open to anyone who would like to come and continue the conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
We need to keep the signs down, please. If you'd like to hold them up, it's wonderful to hold them up in the back, but we do ask that you not, thank you. We do ask that you not block the view of the gallery. Thank you. All right, Molly Walter. Please state your name and your city of residence, and your time will begin.
My name is Molly Walter. I'm a resident of Portland, Oregon. Good evening. I am an ELD and social studies teacher at Clackamas High School and Happy Valley Middle School, and I'm here to speak tonight about class size issue in our district. I would like to begin by offering some data points to put into context class sizes nationally, globally, and within NCSD. The average class size for the United States, as measured by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, is 24 students. Additionally, for the OECD and Statista, average class sizes for the home countries of the majority of the district's English language learners are as follows: Mexico 24, Korea 22, Russia 21, Vietnam 19, and Ukraine 17. Now I want you to imagine that you are a tween or teen Ukrainian refugee. You have fled your 17-student classroom to come to the United States, and you have now landed in a 38-student chemistry class, which was the situation myself and multiple students found ourselves in last year. There were students in the class who had been in the country for 2 weeks and knew no English, on up to students in the talented and gifted program, and everyone suffered. The students who were brand new were utterly lost and demoralized. The tag students were bored and unengaged, and there was not enough staff to keep track of 38 students using fire and sharp instruments. 2 students were significantly injured and 3 ELLs left the program entirely. These students have already had their education interrupted by war, are suffering from a multitude of social and emotional issues, and on top of that, they are now in a class that is so crowded, they cannot get the one-on-one assistance needed to thrive. And CST's language learners, one of our most vulnerable populations in the district, are being set up to fail in overcrowded classrooms. A lot of our ELL students came to the United States with the promise of better quality education. That is not their current experience. Our students have suffered enough from war, poverty, persecution, and other horrors. They deserve a safe and quality learning experience. Appropriate class sizes are imperative to achieving that goal. Thank you.
Cheryl Sargent. Cheryl's our next speaker. Cheryl Sargent.
Sorry.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Sargent. I live in Sandy, and I teach an elective at Happy Valley Middle School. But right now I'm speaking as a union rep on behalf of specialists throughout our district. We talk a lot about equity in this district, and right now it feels like special education students and English learners are being left behind. It feels like we're trying to pretend like all of our kids have the same needs and can all be pushed into the same classes with no room for learning or language differences. Moving all of our students toward more equitable opportunities does not mean teaching them all the same way. Many students do still need special education and language supports, which have been mostly removed under our new model. This year for special ed and last year for ELD, we moved from a pull-out model to a push-in model at middle school. Throughout the implementation of the new push-in model, information about why and how has been inconsistent and often conflicting. This has been a big change with very little support, and our most vulnerable students are the ones who lose out. Prior to this school year, middle school students whose math or reading skills were significantly below grade level had the opportunity to take language arts and math classes at their level to improve their skills and move toward proficiency. These classes replaced the language arts or math class for that student with a class where they could be successful and make progress. Now, most students are simply pushed into the grade level gen ed classes for language arts and math. English learners receive their language support within their social studies class. At the largest middle school in the district, we have 1 period every other day of emerging ELD for our newest newcomers. Within this new model, it is nearly impossible to serve the most impacted students who need the most support. Instead of teaching a class with a small number of students at a similar level of reading, writing, or math each period, special ed teachers now spend their class time rotating to 3 different classrooms within 1 class period. At the core of special education is the understanding we're not all the same and we don't all learn the same. And that is what we need for equity right now. Thank you.
Sam. Your next, Sam Runkle. Yes. Welcome, Sam. State your name and city of residence, and then your time will begin.
Thank you. My name is Sam Runkle. I live in Portland, and I'm currently a school counselor at Rex Putnam High School. As many others have said, our numbers are a huge struggle for us in counseling. I am going to speak to the situation for our high school counselors, but our middle school counselors, our elementary school counselors are seeing many of the same situations and numbers as I'm citing here. The American School Counseling Association recommends a caseload of 250 to 1 for counselors. Currently in North Clackamas at the high school level, the number is 1 to 343. When we look at peer districts in the area, in Portland Public, that number is 1 to 275. In Beaverton, it is 1 to 281. In Hillsborough, it is 1 to 296. So we know that we can achieve lower caseloads for our students. We're seeing other districts able to do so, and we need to see that investment here. Since the COVID pandemic, the reality is that mental health has been a huge struggle. Our students are struggling with rising rates of suicidality, anxiety, depression, and access to a qualified mental health provider in schools, especially a school staff member, such as a counselor, is vital to their success. When we have numbers like we do right now, That means we're not able to serve every single student that we have. I currently have 370 students on my caseload as of 3:30 today. That will rise to 371 at 7:30 on Monday morning. When I have a student who comes in crisis, I am often able to meet with one, but there may be 2, 3, 4 more during that time who come in who I'm not able to see during my day. The result is that I often leave feeling like I'm not able to serve the students on my caseload, and I worry about what they go home to, and I worry about who is taking care of them. Thank you for your time.
Elizabeth Maxwell. Pardon? We're at 20 minutes. Okay.
You
All
ready?
right.
All right.
We are at 20 minutes. So we will add 5 minutes, yes, because we can add, we can add 5 minutes. We will be able to get through, pardon? Oh, 6 minutes, we can do 3 more. Okay, so we can get through Elizabeth, Brandon, and Gretchen, and then we just have one more teacher. So maybe we can try to get at least all the teachers and people that have not spoken tonight. So go ahead and give us your name and your city of residence, and you can, then your 2 minutes will begin.
All right. My name is Liz Maxwell. I live in Damascus. I teach in Happy Valley, and my children go to school in the North Clackamas schools. I have been teaching for 19 years, the last 9 at Mount Scott. I have some more numbers for you. 28, 45, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, and then 34 to 38. These numbers represent the number of students I had in my class this year. 45 is the number of parents and guardians that I am in contact with regularly. 8 are my English language learners, and 6 are students with health protocols in place. 4 are the number of students receiving special education services, and 3 are the number of children experiencing housing and food insecurity. Notably, this is the most of my career. 2 is the number of FTE our school is losing next year, and 34 to 38 are the possible class sizes for some of our grade levels. My first year at Mount Scott, I had 34, and anyone can tell you, and common sense tells you, that that's just too many. Logistically, fitting 34 or 35 bodies in a room, desks and supplies included, is nearly impossible. But in North Clackamas, we value social emotional learning, and we also have a lot of exciting things happening with Writers Workshop. We cannot we are unable to confer with that many students and meet the needs of that many students. But to the heart of the matter, when one FTE is assigned to a school, that number 1 means a lot more than 1. It means following up with students, caring about them, their families, checking in about how their lives are. And just as 1 represents a lot more for staffing, if you've ever been in a classroom, you know that 1 student can mean a lot more than just 1. 1 student's behaviors can fill the whole room and impact the learning of all the others. The thing is, we love these kids with our whole heart, whether there's 21 of them or 35, but there's still just 1 FTE of me. And I want to mean it when I say I'm educating the whole child. Thank you for your time.
Brandon, Germany. Brandon, Germany. State your name and city of residence, and then your time will begin.
Yeah, sorry, there's a lot of clapping. It's hard to hear out there. Brandon, Germany, Damascus. Let me first just say I'm so grateful that you guys are all here. You know, I disagree with probably 99% of the people in this room, but society falls apart when people stop talking. I don't care what you believe politically. We have to create solutions that are for the betterment of all students, not just people or students who align with what we want, but all students. And so thank you to you teachers. Thank you to you guys who are here. I appreciate that we are able to communicate and have open dialogue. There's absolutely no way I'm going to get through all of this. So we'll see what happens. What Michael said about conservatives being silenced. I know this is Oregon. I know this is the Portland metro area. I know the political climate that we send our children into. My son, he went to private school for kindergarten and for first grade. And last year we homeschooled him. This year, that wasn't an option. So we sent him to Vern Duncan. And we told him before he went, we said, listen, people, teachers, students, everyone who you engage with, there will be people who hate you and who despise you because of your Christianity, because of your faith. And the very first day he was bullied for being a Christian. Now, I don't care what you guys believe. I don't care what you guys think. People, children especially, deserve to be respected. And it's hard for my son when he goes to school and he sees icons that fundamentally are antithetical to his worldview. He believes some very specific things about the human nature, about human ontology that most of you disagree with, and that's fine. But when your teachers tell him day in and day out that he is a liar and he deserves to be silenced for who he is, friends, I think that that's wrong, and I think that we can do better. Thank you.
All right. Gretchen Roland Horrigan, please. Please state your name and city of residence, and then your 2 minutes will begin.
Gretchen Roland Horrigan, Oregon City, Oregon. Hi, I'm a teacher, mother, community member, and union representative in North Clackamas. Beliefs translate to action. According to our motto in NCSD, we believe in these 5 core values, which are equity, relationships, care, integrity, and empowerment. If we are really going to make our beliefs actionable, we need to ensure that class sizes remain reasonable. I say reasonable because in my career as an educator, I have had the opportunity to teach pre-K through 12th grade. And I know that each grade, be it early childhood, elementary, middle school, or high school, can be exemplary if teachers are given the opportunity to create real, authentic, and trusting relationships with students. These types of relationships are not possible when student-to-teacher ratios exceed reasonable sizes. If we are really striving to be a beacon of equity, care, relationships, integrity, and empowerment, we need you to translate your beliefs into action by making sure student-to-teacher ratios are not excessive. We as educators have been on an amazing journey over the past couple of years, and we have come back to grades that we have experience in teaching with children who are not socially ready for their grade levels. And this is the main reason why we need at this time to apply our equity lens with integrity and understand that class size matters. Our district has an amazing opportunity to be leaders in the state of Oregon because unlike many other districts, our union, school board, and administration have been able to find common ground that puts students first. But we will not be able to be beacons of culturally responsive education, a practice that prioritizes knowing students and differentiates for the needs of students at the individual level if we do not focus on class size.
We have just one more speaker present, and I'd like to make time for Catherine Frankie to come up and speak. You have 2 minutes. State your name and your city of residence.
Catherine Frankie, I live in Portland and teach English at Rex Putnam High School. Good evening, board, district, and community members. Our students are in crisis. In the past 7 years, the percentage of Oregon children who suffer from anxiety and depression has skyrocketed by 40%. And I'm sure you've all seen the recent news about our state's staggeringly high rate of truancy. In order to help our students develop the skills they need to succeed, we must be able to form relationships with them. For our vulnerable and marginalized students, these relationships are essential. Yet in classes that are packed with students, it is impossible. North Clackamas, we say that we support all of our students, but we're not seeing this at our schools. Our classes are overflowing with kids. I'll give a personal example. Historically, I've learned about the problems and struggles of my students through their writing and stories. Students sharing their stories is a fantastic way to create supportive community. But with almost 200 students and class sizes of up to 43, I simply can't assign regular writing assignments. My students suffer. Not only is it hard for me to get to know them, I'm not able to help them grow as writers, as I'm not able to provide the intensive, targeted, and consistent feedback that really helps. During our single prep period, teachers meet with students, collaborate in PLCs, communicate with counselors and SPED teachers, contact parents, and attend to email. It's hard to plan and grade during the working day. With enormous student caseloads, this task feels Herculean. The results, our students are not being served.
I know that hard fiscal decisions must be made, but increasing our FTE has to be a priority. It's the first most important way of serving our students, of showing our children and our families that yes, we really do care. Thank you.
And that concludes our public comment. The emails that we've received were also a question about policy, 2 emails about class size, and an email about a student asking how to access public comment at a meeting. So for those of you that are remaining, we welcome for you to remain for the agenda. For those of you that are heading out for the evening, go ahead and do so now, and then we will move on. Doug, yeah. All right, we will move on to our native land acknowledgement. Director Dobson will lead the acknowledgement this evening. Oh, you have one? Thank you. Here we go.
We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District rests on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Molalla, and the Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn, work, and be a community on this land. And we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families both past and present, and that will affect those in the future, and honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
And please rise. Director Wachter, will you lead the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Me. In the board packet, you will find the minutes of March 7th, 2024 meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Wachter makes a motion to approve the minutes of the last board meeting.
I think we need to say the date, Director Wachter.
For what? March 7th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a second? It's been properly moved by Director Wachter and seconded by Director Dobson. Is there any discussion? I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed? Excellent. The motion passes 5-0. In the board packet, you will also find the minutes of the March 21st governance meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Chair, I move approval of the governance meeting minutes, March 21st, 2024.
Is there a second?
Dobson, second.
It has been properly moved by Director Bauer and seconded by Director Dobson. Is there any discussion? I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed? Excellent. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Our consent agenda tonight includes, in the board packet, you will find the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. The items on the consent agenda are employment changes, 2024-2025 interdistrict transfers, travel request, Adrian C. Nelson High School Choir, travel request, Clackamas High School Choir, travel request, Sabin Schellenberg Professional Technical Center, DECA, travel request, Milwaukee High School Wind Ensemble, Orchestra, and A Choir, travel request, Rex Putnam High School Kingsman Thunder Drumline. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Chair. I move we approve the consent agenda, including employment changes, 2024-2025 interdistrict transfers, travel requests for Adrian C. Nelson High School Choir, Clackamas High School Choir, Sabin Schellenberg Professional Technical Center, DECA, Milwaukee High School Wind Ensemble, Orchestra, and A Choir, and Rex Putnam High School Kingsman Thunder Drumline.
Is there a second?
Chair Bauer, second.
Been properly moved by Director Dobson and seconded by Director Bauer. I will call for a vote on the motion. Oh, is there any discussion? No, we're good. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is the Volunteer Appreciation Week proclamation. Director Kemp will begin reading the proclamation.
Whereas an excellent public education system is vital to the residents and children of North Clackamas School District.
Whereas volunteers are an important component in providing an excellent education for students.
Whereas volunteers make many contributions to district schools.
Whereas National School Volunteer Week has been scheduled April 15 through 19, 2024.
Is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
Chair, I make a motion to approve and adopt the proclamation declaring April 15th to 19th, 2024 as Volunteer Appreciation Week in the North Clackamas School District.
Is there a second?
Move to second.
Is there any discussion?
I will just take a moment here to say thank you to the volunteers in the North Clackamas School District. I think often when I talk about volunteers in the public school system, I'm doing it from the perspective that it's not fair that we have to rely so heavily on volunteers to hold our public school system together with glue and tape. But in this particular instance, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your care. Thank you for helping all of our students to feel that they are supported, that their education matters, and that we're all doing our best as a community to pull together and provide them with the maximum number of opportunities for their future. Thank you.
Is there any other comment or discussion? All right, I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Now therefore be it resolved that the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors proclaims April 15th through 19th, 2024 as Volunteer Appreciation Week in the North Clackamas School District, adopted this 11th day of April, 2024. Licensed Staff Appreciation Week. Director Wachter will begin reading this proclamation.
Whereas staff, including teachers, counselors, and social workers, nurses, psychologists, instructional coaches, media specialists, therapists, speech pathologists, and other specialists are vital to the education of students and who continually strive to promote high expectations, cultural understanding, to prepare graduates who are inspired and empowered to strengthen the quality of life in our local and global communities. And
Whereas licensed staff are professionals that advance the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievements of all students. And
whereas licensed staff continually strive for improvement and progress in education with the understanding of the need for commitment to excellence in the district school system.
Is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
Chair Benaloga. I move to adopt the proclamation recognizing licensed staff for their contributions to the district by declaring May 6th through the 10th, 2024 as Licensed Staff Appreciation Week in the North Clackamas School District.
Is there a second?
Director Dobson, second.
And is there any discussion? Director Bauer?
Chair Benaloga, I'd like to just take a few minutes to thank our licensed staff, which includes all of the groups that were mentioned in our resolution and proclamation. And think about, I know that I can think back and think of teachers and counselors that made difference in my life and those that connected with my own children. And they taught us all to look at things deeper, do things better, challenged us to think critically. And all of those are skills that we need for solutions. We're faced with questions all the time, and working together is something that we learn in school. And I think that's stressed even more. They have to be not only counselors, psychologists, you have to be moms and dads sometimes. Behavior specialists have to also be moms and dads, communications specialists. Sometimes you're asked to do nursing duty. I mean, you can go on and on. The roles that you play and trying to establish those relationships, I know is difficult, but I know so many of you come back and you do it over and over. I'm grateful for that. We're grateful for that. And our board, on behalf of the board, thank you for what you do every day, making those connections. You change the world for better, one student at a time. You may never even realize the positive impact that you have. But we're here today to remind you of that and thank you. It's just a week, and I know it should be every day that you're thanked for what you do. I know this is very difficult, and what we heard from you today from licensed staff was energy that we need to take to our state. We need to put that pressure on where we need stable and adequate funding. And so many of us have been trying to get that message to Salem, but we need to join together and do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other directors that have a comment? Director Dobson?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to echo Director Bauer's sentiments and say, especially given the public comments that we were privileged to hear tonight, that I think the least we can do is say we hear you and we want to fight with you for the resources that you need to do your jobs the way that you want to do your jobs and support our kids the way our kids deserve to be supported.
Thank you. I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Now therefore it be resolved that the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors proclaims May 6th through 10th, 2024 as Licensed Staff Appreciation Week in North Clackamas School District, adopted this 11th day of April, 2024. Next on the agenda is the Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month proclamation. Director Wachter will again begin reading this proclamation.
Thank you, Chair. Whereas Asian and Pacific Islander Americans have lived and worked in Oregon for more than 200 years, contributing to the state's rich history, economy, and culture. And
whereas Asian and Pacific Islander Americans have helped advance our community's prosperity through their contributions to all fields of education, business, the arts, economic development, science, technology, and
whereas Asian and Pacific Islander American history is marked by a struggle for freedom, equality, and justice, prevailing over the adversity of exclusion, persecution, incarceration, and disparities. And
whereas the vibrant history and diverse cultures of Oregon's Asian and Pacific Islander Americans are here to be honored as a central part of our state's story and shared across all Oregon communities. And
whereas the month of May is nationally recognized as a time to celebrate contributions of Asian and Pacific Islander Americans to our society and collective history.
Is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
Chair, I would like to make a motion to move to adopt the proclamation recognizing May as Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month in the North Clackamas School District.
Is there a second?
Chair Benaloga, second from Bauer.
Excellent. And is there any discussion? If not, I have a comment. Of course, this is near and dear to my heart with my children being Pacific Islander. AAPI month originated in 1978. It began as a week-long celebration of Asian American history and later expanded to include Pacific Islanders. In 1992, the holiday was extended to a month-long celebration. Today, AAPI Heritage Month honors the diverse histories and cultures of all Asian and Pacific Islander descendants in America. A diverse mix of cultures and identities make up the American population. The AAPI community includes more than 50 different ethnicities. This creates a collection of diverse backgrounds, histories, and cultures. Understanding the differences between cultures and ethnicity builds an awareness of the complexities that exist in the AAPI population. We celebrate the culture and the accomplishments of AAPI community throughout Oregon and throughout the nation. And I just want to speak personally that I am proud to be in a district where we do support and we do honor the culture of our children. My children felt that as they attended North Clackamas schools, and I know that our students are feeling that today. We want our students, our faculty, our staff, and our community to feel uplifted and to feel honored, and that we honor those cultures and we uplift them this month especially. So I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Therefore, the North Clackamas School Board hereby proclaims May 2024 to be Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month in North Clackamas School District, adopted this 11th day of April, 2024. Thank you so much for all of that. We appreciate that. Riverside Elementary. Next on the agenda is their school presentation. I welcome Executive Director of Elementary Programs, Patricia Ahrens, for this agenda item, who will introduce our guests.
Buenas noches, miembros del Consejo Directivo. Good evening, board members. I am honored tonight to introduce Principal Jaramillo, who is here to present all the wonderful things that DLI Riverside School has to offer to all of the students that attend that school. So I'm very honored to be tonight with them, and I'm going to pass the microphone to Principal Jaramillo so she can start.
Hola a todos y buenas tardes. Me da mucho gusto poder estar aquí con ustedes. Mi nombre es Teresa Jaramillo, soy la directora de Riverside. Esta noche les contaremos acerca de Riverside en nuestra comunidad, la que contiene un programa dual en español en inmersión. Hi, good evening. I'm very happy and excited to be here with you all today. My name is Teresa Jaramillo. I'm the principal at Riverside. Riverside is a diverse community where we have one of our dual language programs. With me tonight, I have my school counselor.
Hello, my name is Everett Barr.
And one of my instructional coaches.
Hello, my name is Dina Nakata.
In this video, you will see some of our dual language students. They are current fifth graders. Josie and Maya are in our dual language program, as well as Tadeo, a fourth grade student, also in a dual language program. They will be telling you about Riverside's mission statement, and they're going to read it for you in Spanish.
El personal de la escuela primaria Riverside, en cooperación con los padres y la comunidad,
educa a cada estudiante sin importar su raza, cultura, género, estatus socioeconómico o necesidades de aprendizaje.
Aseguramos el éxito académico, social y personal proporcionando un ambiente de aprendizaje seguro, de apoyo, desafiante y significativo.
Esta es la misión de Riverside. El personal de la escuela primaria Riverside, en cooperación con los
Continuing to represent our dual language immersion program and diverse community, we'll now read our vision statement bilingually. En la primaria Riverside, los padres y el personal trabajamos juntos para
engage students by establishing high expectations and involving them in meaningful learning opportunities that honor diverse backgrounds and cultures and develop critical thinking skills.
inspirar a los alumnos en un entorno seguro y enriquecedor, celebrando sus progresos y logros, guiándose hacia su mejor versión personal.
Ensure students are ready for their next challenge by promoting competency, responsibility, and confidence in their home, school, and community.
Okay, in the next video, let me see. Oh, thank you. In this video, you will see Maestra Lori. She's a current second grade dual language teacher, where she's teaching Spanish phonics instruction, which is part of her literacy core instruction block. It is also aligned to our English early literacy framework. The only difference is that she's teaching in Spanish.
Esa palabra es otra palabra, muy bien. Ok, ¿listos para las palabras de uso frecuente? Ok, Sandra, mira aquí para leer.
Quiero, correr, parque, aquí, hacer,
Yo veo una palabra aquí que tiene una letra que... Esa palabra.
Riverside teachers are committed to our students and families. Teachers work to intentionally create and support a positive and caring school environment in which all students and families feel welcome, respected, and trusted. And they create meaningful and innovative experiences in learning that accommodate different learning styles and develop a high level of critical thinking. Riverside was recently highlighted during National Public School Week. In the following video, students highlight how much their teachers impact them.
Well, across the North Clackamas School District, we are celebrating National Public Schools Week. And what better place to celebrate than at Riverside Elementary? It's lunchtime with 4th and 5th graders right now. Let's find out what they love about going to a public school like Riverside.
You really can do anything you want. Teachers are nice. I love that you can go for free and it's really helpful. I like public school because there's just so many things to do. I love how the teachers teach here. Math. Music. The time to do art. Music and be.
Writing, because we get to make stories.
I get free chocolate milk every day. I like how the teachers help us learn. I like the activities that we do. I go to public school because of fifth grade leadership. My favorite thing about the school is the teachers. My wonderful teacher and fifth grade leadership. Wonderful teacher and the fact that it's a public school. My teacher. I like my teachers. My teacher. Teachers in the recess. Really like all the teachers here. We have all the teachers. We have a lot of teachers. This school is just the best. The teachers here are so kind. You can always ask somebody and they'll always help you. What I like about public school is I get to have relationships with friends. Friends I made along the way.
Playing football with friends.
Meeting new friends. Basketball with friends. Playing football with my friends. It's fun and I have good friends.
A really nice place to make a lot of friends.
Like seeing all my friends here. I love school so much. And the classroom is, well, quieter.
In the video, you might have heard some kids say that they really enjoyed math. This is just to highlight some of the great work that teachers are doing at Riverside. I'm very proud of my teachers always engaging in professional development. So Riverside was highlighted in the Oregonian earlier in the school year, highlighting student growth, where 1/3 of third graders met proficiency in math. This was a huge jump from the previous year, up 15% the previous year. Some of the shifts that have led to this change have been implementing collaborative learning strategies, which includes various talk structures. This year, we added student feedback to students, and also collaboration among teachers has been a lot more intentional. Next slide. Here is another article where Riverside was highlighted in the NCSD Community Link. This article really spoke to the math studios that we partner with Teachers Development Group. Math studios is where teachers really learn from each other. They collaborate, they watch each other teach, they give each other feedback. And not only are they giving each other feedback on their instruction, but they're talking about ways that they're supporting our students and being really intentional in the way that they're teaching math. They might need to go back and reteach a lesson or a topic before they move on, and really making sure that students understand what they are learning in the math and the complex math concepts that they have. This model has really empowered our teachers at Riverside, letting them deliver high quality instruction, support their students, and enabling them to grasp complex math skills more effectively before moving on to the next lesson. Next slide.
At Riverside, one of our big focuses is on professional development of our staff. We've partnered with Teachers Development Group, as Mrs. Maestra Jaramillo has said, for Math Studio professional development with collaboration across both our dual language and monolingual programs. Both our dual language and monolingual teachers have participated in our lesson study models based on their feedback about their professional development needs. Monolingual and dual language teachers attended the Biliteracy Conference with Dr. Jose Medina with a focus on meeting the needs of culturally and linguistically diverse students. Our monolingual teachers learned about our dual language program, pillars, and structure before engaging in PLCs together. Next slide. We also develop our paraeducators. We empower them with a weekly paraeducator meeting focused on professional development specific to their needs and requests, as well as scenario-based problem solving. We focus on ensuring that all our paraeducators have consistent messaging and talk to and about students through asset-based language. This year, we invested in Playworks Reboot, where paras were trained and in structured play with students that they implement and practice during recess. And they have developed junior coaches with our 5th grade leadership students.
Riverside has worked hard to establish a comprehensive social emotional learning program. As a community, we value and believe that social emotional learning, SEL, is critical to academic achievement. The skills of emotion regulation, navigating social relationships, and solving problems allow students to be successful both in and outside the classroom. With support from our district's SEL TOSA, Marie Claire Wanacott, we have worked hard to establish our Caring School Community's core SEL curriculum. And through daily morning and closing circle times, students receive direct instruction in the areas of self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, and goal setting. Our behavior support team, the BST, plays a critical role also in ensuring that all students get what they need to succeed. Composed of our behavior support teacher, Noel Carey, our behavior support instructional assistants, Cristina and Laura, our Trillium counselor, Juniper, Principal Jaramillo, in collaboration with our resource room teachers, Jane and Chris, and our SLP, Lexi, and myself, we offer weekly 20-minute consultations with teachers to establish Tier 2 and 3 supports. Utilizing Tier 1 behavior data, we're able to identify which interventions meet students' needs and plan how to make it happen. Whether it's through small groups with myself, social stories, or a referral to our mental health providers, Trillium or Stargo, Oregon, we strive to teach those specific liking skills that, again, students need to succeed. Lastly, our SEL sensory room, the Tiger Cave, has been one of our biggest successes this year, led again by one of our behavior instructional assistants, Laura Moberg. Students get to experience true regulation before learning and practicing SEL skills that they can take back to the classroom with them. I, as a counselor, am so appreciative of our collective value for SEL at Riverside. Working together allows us, again, to truly provide students what they need to succeed. Next slide.
One more thing that I would like to highlight from Riverside is our community engagement and partnership within our community, and not only our Riverside community, but also engaging in a partnership with Oak Grove Elementary. It was really nice to be able to collaborate with Heidi, the principal over there, and be able to bring a bilingual author, songwriter. He's won multiple prizes, internationally recognized, Lucky Diaz, to both of our school communities. He was able to come to Riverside and have an assembly for our K-5 students and even our fifth graders that sometimes might be like, oh, this is like too cool for me. They were back there dancing, having a good time. Our kindergartners were dancing and having a good time. The presentation was fully bilingual in our school, and our kids just elevated and valued each other and participated, even if they weren't in the dual language program. It truly is one community within our dual language program, our monolingual program. And I think Lucky Diaz really embodies kind of what dual language does. It really brings a community together. We had a literacy night later in the afternoon with both of our schools and community, and in partnership, we were able to bring both of our communities together. Lucky Diaz was presenting in the library. We had activities in Spanish and in English, free books, and it was just a really beautiful event to see both of our communities together. So as always, we're always looking for volunteers, just like you guys spoke about how important it is to have volunteers within our school. We have school assemblies, hosting events such as the literacy night with Lucky Diaz. And then there's a video of him, it's a short clip of him at our literacy night that took place on March 14th.
Mexican citizenship, so I'm like really excited about it. Okay, so you got the so but everybody has let's make it creative and talk about pizza or bunny sandwiches, right? So we have a dog, we have a cat. They love tacos and burritos. Where are they going? You in the back. Where are they going? Yes, you that turned around. Yeah, you. Who, me?
China.
Wait, where are they going?
China.
China. You know, I've actually spent a lot of time in China. Our band is very famous there, and we have a television show in China. I've been to China 10 times. Yeah, it's amazing. I highly recommend it.
Thank you for inviting us to tell you a little bit about Riverside. Any questions?
Thank you so much for your presentation. Directors, do we have questions for Riverside Elementary? Director Bauer.
I just want to say thank you for the great presentation. And I had just a couple. One, was to congratulate you on the math improvement. And I was glad you gave examples, the math studio, the professional development. That's great. That's fantastic. And I see also your English language arts has increased some. But then as all schools, the attendance is down. And so could you address that? And if that was improved, I'm sure those scores would even improve more, right?
We would love to address that. We actually have a team called the RAT team. It's the Riverside Attendance Team. So we have our BST team and our RAT team. Everett and I both have really invested a lot of time in our attendance, and we have weekly attendance meetings where we are looking at student attendance. We've done a lot of equity work since the beginning of the school year, looking at our data and really trying to think about how we can support students wanting to be at school. Dina has led professional development recently about thinking about our core instruction, and this is where we're talking about caring school communities, building relationships, and thinking about our focus students, the students that we find that aren't coming to school all the time or they are showing up late constantly, thinking about them, planning instruction around them, and thinking, how can we make them feel welcome? How can we continue to build those relationships? Because we can control what's happening in school, but we can't control what happens at home. And so that is where we have really tried to go back deep, dig deep into our core instruction with caring school communities and building those relationships. Do you want to add anything else?
Just that I feel like we've really put time, like money where our mouth is, like devoting, say, 15 minutes of staff time, right? To present the information that we're talking about in our in the rat, but also maybe to give teachers time to make those phone calls. So instead of making it like an extra thing that we're asking teachers to do outside of contract time, hopefully we're demonstrating through our actions that we take our time during the day because it's that important. So I really appreciate that.
I just wondered with your dual schools, is there attendance differences in the dual language program as opposed to the other? Attendance, do you see anything different there or anything stand out?
That is actually one part of data I haven't disaggregated. We do disaggregate our data by grade and race and ethnicity. And from memory, there's slightly better attendance for white identified students than our Latinx identified students. It's maybe about 0.5% to a percentage, but there could be many reasons for that. And our goal, just to underscore what Teresa said, was it's all about the relationship. No matter what it is that happens outside the school, we want our students to know that we love and care for them when they walk in.
The only reason I asked is there still a waiting list for the dual language?
That's common through our district office, the wait list for dual language through Thoughtworth. Yeah. We still have some as spots come open right now, especially in primary, our classes are at capacity for our dual language program as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do other directors have a question? I had a question. Director Bauer asked the majority of my questions. I was going to ask, I know. So I get to call on her first and then I was.
First.
It had something to do with attendance. Do you know what it is this year? I mean, has it improved this year? Because I know that this is 22, 23. So do you know what your attendance percentage, your regular attendees is right now?
Yeah, last I checked, it was like 90.5% attendance, just in terms of like an average daily attendance. According to Attendance Works, you ideally would be at 95% or more. We have like 37% of our students are at 95% or more. And ideally that would be around like 80%. So we have a long way to go. If we look at just the 90% or higher, that almost doubles to about 67 to 70%. So, which is pretty good. But actually Teresa came up with this idea to have an incentive program where every day we met our goal, we picked a number that we thought was an achievable goal of 90% average daily attendance. And every day in a row that we did it, we'd get like a new school prize leading up to, if you do it 10 days in a row, you get to embarrass the teacher some way. We've gone up to 5 days. And so we're trying to make a big thing about it because we want students to take pride in that. But again, there's lots of outside, even our students' own control about reasons why they can't get to school. But we just want to celebrate when they're there. Regardless, I'm really a big advocate for access to that data. And what I found is when I entered, this is my second year at Riverside, there hadn't been this work done before. So this year I've started with the team documenting all this information. And so I'm really hopeful that moving forward, we'll have more year-to-year data to compare it to.
Excellent. Thank you. And I think it's so true. It's just having a building that they want to come into with a caring adult and caring people in the building that make them feel welcome. And then they want to come to school every day. And we hope to work on those other barriers because we know there are barriers to getting to school that are real. And then we can also work on those barriers with families. So excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Next on the agenda is the 2024-2025 middle school and high school fees, student Chromebook insurance program discussion. I welcome Executive Director of Secondary Programs, Petra Callan, who will introduce our guest.
There we go. That's better. Good evening. I am happy to have with me the Director of Technology, Leanne Scherer. She is actually going to be the star of our show. So my job is to set us all up, and then we will go ahead and move forward with the more interesting pieces. So every single year, I bring to you a discussion about school fees at the middle and high school level. And then you all, we engage in a conversation, and then you approve them or, have suggestions moving forward. Our goal is to keep any kind of school-associated fees as low as possible. When we established the one-to-one Chromebook program, we established a technology fee at the middle school and a technology deposit at the high school. So that's an important piece to remember. Also that when families are unable to pay fees, that we always work with families. And so they're able to consult with the school for kind of fee scholarships, and that fees for athletics and classes technology are waived for students who qualify for free and reduced price meals. So moving forward, and this has been the same for several years now, we suggest to maintain this current year's fee structure for next year for the middle and high school. We have kept it the same really for quite a few years now. The goal, I mean, of course, we have seen inflation across, most of our different kind of budget areas. However, we understand that it puts families in a difficult position when we increase fees. So that is a priority for us. What we do suggest doing is to remove the technology fee and the deposit from that fee structure, and instead to implement a Chromebook insurance program with an optional charge of $25 for families that choose to participate. And that's what Leanne is going to be talking a little bit more about. So in your packets, and because you can't really read what's on the screen there, though it's a little too small, is a copy of what we are suggesting for next year's fee schedule, and identical as this year's, except for that removal of the technology deposit and fee. All right, and there's a copy of the high school fees. All right, and now the insurance program.
Okay. So last year, I actually think it was my very first day as Director of Technology. We came with a proposal to turn the high school deposit into a fee and to increase to $25 for both middle and high school. And there was a lot of discussion about that. And ultimately what the board charged us to do is let's take a year, let's maintain the same structure, and let's look a little bit, let's have some conversation. Let's explore a little bit more about this technology fee idea, and does that make sense? What other options are there? So over the last year, we've done that. We've talked to families, done a lot of talking and exploring what other districts do. The issues that we run into is, besides the financial issue, the real financial issue is that the processing of the deposit costs more for the district than what we would actually bring in. So what that looks like is the family would make a $20 deposit, and this is for the high school, would make a $20 deposit that would sit there unless there was a need to pull on that deposit, like if there was, for technology specifically, if there was a lost or broken device, we would then access that deposit. But the way deposits work is that they sit there until we get to high school, and then we have to cut a check back to the family. And the processing and that tracking financially doesn't make sense. Another reality is that with the cost of a one-to-one program, which is new to our district after COVID, after we went to online learning, we didn't have a one-to-one program. And so we've tried different things really to get a handle on what does that mean logistically, what does that mean financially, and roughly half the cost of our repairs for student lost devices or broken. Actually, it doesn't even consider lost devices. Roughly half the cost of the repairs is what we would bring in with that deposit or fee, or families who pay if there's a device that's broken. So I think it's probably about 50,000 is what we would be covering that isn't covered by the cost of the deposit or fee, or those families that do pay when a device is broken. And so that's the reality that we were looking at. And so as I was talking to other districts, families, the response first from families didn't seem to be, we don't think it's right that we would be asked to pay if our student damaged a device. What we got was, it doesn't seem right to be forced to pay a fee when nothing has happened. My kid hasn't had any problems. My student hasn't, taken keys off the device or broken it or lost it. And so in talking to other districts, I found a model that to me felt like a good middle ground, and that was an optional insurance program. And what that means is that parents would opt in to the program. So if they choose to participate in the program, I can't remember if I have a slide. No. If they choose to participate in the program, they would pay $25 annually, and that would cover that would cover the cost of a lost or broken device. So if the student damages the screen, it would be covered under the insurance program, for example. If families choose not to participate, they would then be asked, in the case of damage or loss, to reimburse the district for the full cost of the repair or of the lost device. And that seems to be, to me, it seemed like it was a good middle ground as a way to both cover some of that loss that is incurred, and at the same time give families an option. I pressed the wrong thing, sorry. Too many buttons. These are a couple of examples of damage that we've had, and some examples of the cost. So to replace a keyboard is about $40. The hinges, the devices we have for kids fold down to like a tablet, and it costs about $30 to replace it if they break. So you can see that the examples of that. These are things that would be covered under the insurance program. If a device is completely lost, or as the picture that you see up there is damaged beyond repair, if a family opts into the insurance program, we would actually charge them $50, not the actual replacement cost. And that would be for the first incident of loss or damage beyond repair. So it's a way for families to protect their financial security in the case of an accidental damage. And at the same time, it does provide us as a district needed revenue for the ongoing repairs that we're running into. I have to say, I can't remember, did we provide this document? Okay, so in your board packet, you have, this is not final, but this is the Chromebook insurance program sort of explanation. We'll need to do a little more work, I think, on making it understandable and comprehensible for families. And I would welcome any input on that. But basically the idea is that families could opt into the insurance program, and then they would be protected in the case of this damage. So just a couple of examples of what that would mean in practicality. There would be, if families participate, there would be this $25 annual charge. If they have incidents of damage, the first or second incident of damage, there would be no charge. When we get to the third incident, that's where we would begin to charge the full cost of reimbursement for that damage. In the case of a complete loss or damage beyond repair, we would charge $50 for the first Chromebook, $100 for the second, and then the third, it would be full cost. And then you can see on the right-hand side examples of what the actual cost would be for those if the families choose not to participate. And so I'm going to pause there and see if there are any questions.
Now I'm turned off. Do any directors have a question? I'm sure we do. Director Dobson.
Thank you, Chair. One quick question. The $50 charge for replacing a lost, stolen, or damaged beyond repair laptop, is that then on top of the $25 deposit? 25?
Yes. So the annual charge would be $25 if the family participates. And so if, for example, in September, they have paid the $25, but then in January, the student loses the device, they would then be expected to pay $50, not $400 or $450, depending on what the actual replacement cost would be.
Are there any other questions? Director
I
Walker?
have to get my question in before my esteemed board director. I love this idea in concept, and the way that you've laid it out, I think is pretty effective as well. Thank you for bringing it to us. I just had this spark of thought a couple seconds ago around, as you were talking about what fees are already waived for students. And I'm wondering if the insurance fee has been considered to be one of those fees for students who can and families who cannot pay. Because I'd hate for them not to opt in because they couldn't afford the insurance cost, but then you were going to ask this question, weren't you?
Yeah.
But then have like a $400
Yeah.
something chasing them later on. Have you given some thought to the equity lens on this? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, my thought was that we would follow the same protocol that we do for our other fees, is that if a student qualifies for free and reduced lunch, that fee would be waived, or that insurance charge would be waived. But they would be considered covered under the insurance charge. Yeah.
Director Bauer?
Well, thank you for asking that question, Glenn. I did have one other. So how are you going to get all this information out to the parents?
Yeah, we're still working on that. So we'll, if the board approves us moving forward with this, I would imagine that we would want to work with our communications team on this, and to help really know how to communicate it. We'd also really want to spend some time working with our middle and high school staff, so they're really understanding what this program is, how it's a little bit different, and what that looks like. The processes that we have in place for collecting and tracking the money and the charges would be the same. It's more about the communication with families and how they choose to participate, that we would need to work with the team to really get that out.
And understanding the details about what's covered and what isn't. So there's no
Mhm.
surprises.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, excellent. Director Kemp?
Um, uh, do the students have these Chromebooks with them all day long?
Yes. So I should say this is just middle and high school, not elementary. Elementary, they're in carts in the classroom.
Right.
But our middle and high school students are expected to have their Chromebooks with them, bring them to class. We actually started putting this year cases on our middle school student devices, just to provide a little extra protection for those. And that's where we've seen the most damage. And that's typical. Every district I've talked to has said the same thing. But yeah, they are expected to bring them to class and have them available and ready to use every day.
So what I was getting at was, if they have to get it repaired, are there other Chromebooks when theirs is going to get repaired, they've got another one to give them, so they're not without one for a period of time or anything?
Yeah, we have loaner devices that we have. Yeah.
All right.
All right, I just have a couple of questions. So I also am a little bit worried about the communication, because we have so many of our high schools that do not do in-person registration anymore. So, and I understand what that top paragraph means.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we're not actually buying insurance, correct? We're
No,
calling it that,
We're calling it that. Exactly.
but it's just putting a pot of
Mhm.
money aside.
Correct.
Got it. So we're not buying an insurance
No.
policy. This is, because it does say NCSD insurance plan.
Right.
So I was pretty sure that's what that meant. Okay. So I really think it's important that we talk about communication and how we make sure, number one, that families know it's a change
Yes.
first, and then understand what that change means. And then my second question would be, the schools that already have free and reduced lunch because they're on the grant, what level, how do we know? Are we getting enough? Are we getting kids that actually fill it out, even though they don't have to for those schools that already qualify?
I think I'm actually going to defer to Petra. I hate to throw this on you, but I'm not certain of that process for the because it would apply to the other fee reduction. Is the expectation that the families would complete the free and reduced price lunch application?
It works Similarly to how we handle athletics, because we still need to communicate with families in order to ensure that all of those kinds of related fees that don't connect directly to school lunch, that we can account for that. So schools, administrators work to get that information from families.
Okay, so even if we don't need it for free and reduced lunch, we're getting it for other
Mhm.
purposes. Excellent, very good. And then, yeah, our biggest concern would be really just communicating that to families and making sure they truly understood. And I think for schools that have an in-person registration, and then there's somebody that can really explain what that means. Is there a plan to make sure that this is in many languages and it's available for our families in many languages?
Yes, and what I've typically done, those of you who don't know, that was my background before I moved to technology. So that's something that's near and dear to my heart. Typically what we've done is, in addition to translating the actual documentation, I've worked directly with our community liaisons and our district translation team to make sure they understand, so that if they're getting questions from the community, that they're able to explain it, not just, hey, here's a document that talks about this program in another language. So both of those routes are where I go.
All right, thank you. Is there any other question? All right, thank you. This is a discussion item and it will be brought up at a future board meeting. Thank you. So next on the agenda is the 2024-2025 school board meeting calendar discussion. This time is set aside for us to discuss. We are not going to vote on this evening, and I really want to explain that this calendar is simply modeled after this year. So this is what we did this year. So this calendar that we have brought before you is just modeled after what we've done this year. So we are certainly, we want everyone to take some time to look at this. Again, we're not going to vote this evening, but if you have any comments or suggestions, we can take those this evening. And if not, there will be some time before the next board meeting where you can voice your opinion or any concern that you have about the calendar. Are there any comments or discussion items or questions about the current calendar that you have? I see everyone is looking at it. All right, excellent. Please look through the calendar. If you have any concerns, be sure to let the superintendent know, and we will bring this up at our future board meeting to vote. Excellent. So next on the agenda is the superintendent contract discussion. This time is set aside for discussion regarding the board chair, delegating 2 board members to work with board legal counsel to evaluate updates to the superintendent's contract. Is there any discussion? Oh, Director Bauer.
Thank you, Chair Benaloga. I would like to suggest that, as in past, I think it's worked really well that the chair and vice chair continue that contract negotiations with Superintendent James. We've done that in the past. It seems to work well, and then vice chair moves up and takes that knowledge forward. Also, I think it's really helpful to have a 3-year contract. If we could extend another year to give us that stability and our leader, our wonderful leader, that stability, because she has done excellent work. She gets excellent reviews, and changeover of a superintendent is not what we want. It's been so great to have long-term superintendents here. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or discussion points?
Chair, I support exactly what Mitzi shared. I think the longer contract makes a lot more sense for continuity and stability. And a lot of processes, as I've been touring a number of our schools, take time to implement and see through and systematize. So I think time is really important to share and that with the contracting process with our superintendent as well.
All right, thank you. So let's just check consensus with those of us that are here. So first of all, let's have consensus that how do we feel as a board about exploring a 3-year contract with our superintendent? Do we have a thumbs up from everyone? All right. And appointing your chair, myself, and Vice Chair Wei to be the negotiators for this contract with Superintendent James. Thumbs up? All right. So I believe we have consensus on both of those points and we will move forward. And remember, we are not voting on anything this evening. And the actual contract will be voted on by the full board. So you will have access to the contract and all of you will have input and will be voting on that full contract. All right. Next on the agenda is low-income housing property tax abatement. I welcome Executive Director of Finance and Business Services, Matt McCara.
Good evening, directors. I'm bringing forward an item for discussion tonight, which follows up on a previous meeting with the City of Milwaukee about a tax abatement proposal. Most of this initially will just be a refresher for board members. In the February 8th meeting, the joint meeting with Milwaukee City Council, Milwaukee declared a housing emergency in 2020 and put in place a multi-year housing action plan, which calls for incentivizing construction of affordable housing. As part of that, they are seeking additional incentives for affordable housing development. So the proposal that the City of Milwaukee has is authorized by ORS 307.540 to 548. Property can be exempt from taxation if the following criteria are all met. Owned by a nonprofit corporation, occupied by low-income persons, and authorized by 51% of the combined rate of taxation of local taxing authorities. So basically, 51% of the taxing authorities have to agree. As it works out for the City of Milwaukee, that is essentially the City of Milwaukee and North Clackamas School District. So this is what we decide will be a deciding factor. The City of Milwaukee is seeking approval of such a tax exemption for a fixed time duration. So in terms of what the financial impact to North Clackamas would be in agreeing to this proposal, it would be minimal, if any. In regards to the state school fund, there would be no impact to North Clackamas revenue. The state school fund works if the property taxes that we would have collected are reduced by this, the state support offsets that. So we'll still receive the same amount of state school fund that we would have otherwise. With general obligation bonds, there will also be no impact to bond revenue there. The way and you'll see this again when we go to adopt and impose taxes in June, that for the general obligation bonds, we set a dollar amount to be collected. So that dollar amount is what we set it as. In terms of the local option levy, there would be a small impact to revenue to North Clackamas if any of these developments were put in place. But to put that in context, Walsh Commons, which is the most recent example of such a development, had an impact of about $4,000 reduction to the local option roughly in 2023. However, there is the potential for increased enrollment, which could lead to additional funding. To put that in context, in 2022, the basic per student allocation from the state was about $4,500. that's 1.01 student before any additional weighting is put in. So if any of these developments did bring in families who are new to the district, it could have in the end a positive financial impact on the district. It would just be in a different form. The specifics of the resolution are that it would be for 10 years, expiring in June 30, 2034. The city of Milwaukee would provide annual reports to North Clackamas School District, and there would be the option to end the agreement and end the issuance of new exemptions with 30 days notice from North Clackamas to the city of Milwaukee. So North Clackamas would have the option to end the agreement with 30 days notice. Next steps would be that staff will seek action on the proposed resolution at the next North Clackamas board meeting. If there are any questions or discussion, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions?
I have one question.
Director Wachter.
Yeah.
So Matt, thanks for explaining the way that enrollment in the future in this locations actually helps in the long run increase enrollment and dollars for North Clackamas. I think it's a great community partnership thing to do, right?
Absolutely.
It makes
Yes.
sense for us to support the cities that we have schools in. And I'm wondering, what is the impact, if it's minimal to us, what is the actual 10-year impact? What is the gain to the city of Milwaukee in dollars?
I couldn't speak for the city. And I think it would also really depend upon since what kind of developments are they're able to put in place. I think they have a limited number of spaces that are developable, that can be developed. So it would really be a matter of what they are able to get in place.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions?
I'll be last. Check with everyone else.
Are there any other questions before? All right, Director Kemp.
I think this is a good opportunity for the district and the city of Milwaukee to provide some stability for housing and for kids. So I think it's a win-win all the way around, and certainly is minimal impact to the district and just a win for the community in general. So I'm all for it personally.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Director Bauer.
Thank you, Chair Benaloga. Yeah, I agree. It's consistent with our priorities, and we had a great discussion when we had the joint meeting. One question I asked, and I don't remember the answer, so can you remind me if the ownership changes from a nonprofit to another nonprofit, or they just try to get out of it? Can they? I think we had that discussion. I don't remember the answer.
We have the district has the option to terminate the agreement with 30 days notice. I also believe, I would have to check to be certain, but the tax exemption is contingent upon all of those criteria being met. So if those changed at any point, I believe the agreement would be structured such that would no longer be in place.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense.
Anything else? No. I just had one question. It says it has to be occupied by low-income residents. Is there for multi units? Is there a percentage of those that have to be low income or available to low income residents, or does it have to be 100% low income?
That I am not certain about,
Okay.
but I can get the answer to that and get that to the board.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you. And we will see this at the next board meeting for a vote.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So next on the agenda is lease of Campbell property to Cascade Heights Public Charter School. After the discussion tonight, we will be voting on this item. So I welcome Senior Director of Capital Projects, Ron Stewart.
Thank you. And thank you for moving this to action. Is that what I heard? No.
That's what it says in here.
Great.
That's what it says that I am to do tonight if we are all on board.
We are
So
hoping for action tonight.
we are hoping for action tonight.
And I understand this has been a discussion in exec session, so it's not a new topic for you. But we're asking the board to grant authority to enter into a 5-year lease for portions of the former Campbell Elementary School campus to Cascade Heights Public Charter School.
All right. Is there any discussion or questions?
Okay, we'll take turns.
Director Bauer.
I just want to be transparent. It's that this site is not a good location for something like a Wichita Center resource.
That was looked at, and it's not a great location for Wichita. Mainly TriMet access is a problem, public transit.
Okay, yeah, I just want our public to know that we looked at that, and it's not, it's got separate buildings, it's got different levels, it's different. And for it to work for Cascade Heights, I think that's great. Yeah, you're still maintaining early childhood evaluation and some other programs that we need. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
One quick one, Chair. I think this lease makes total sense, and I want as a board of directors to support this charter school. I do have a question, probably more for a future conversation around that contingency planning. So I understand that this school has been sort of the backup in case of some disaster that we needed to use another school. What would be our new contingency plan be if Campbell is now on a long-term lease with Cascade Charter School?
As you said, future question, discussion. Excellent.
Futuristic.
All right. Is there any other question? Excellent. So do we have a motion? Director Bauer?
Thank you, Chair Benaloga. I move to grant authority of North Clackamas School District to enter into a 5-year lease for portions of the site of the former Campbell Elementary campus to Cascade Heights Public Charter School.
Is there a second?
Wachter, second.
It's been properly moved by Director Bauer and seconded by Director Wachter. Is there any discussion? I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Thank you. Next on the agenda is authorization to purchase air filters. After the discussion, we will be voting on this item as well. I welcome Senior Director of Capital Projects again, Ron Stewart.
Thank you. We're looking for the board to provide advance authorization for air filter purchases that may exceed $150,000 when purchased through the competitive procurement rules.
Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to approve? Director Bauer.
Chair Benaloga, I move approval of staff recommendation to provide advance authorization for routine and reoccurring MERV 13 air filter purchases that may exceed $150,000 when purchased through the required competitive procurement rules.
Is there a second?
Wachter, second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved by Director Bauer and seconded by Director Wachter. Any discussion? Director Bauer? No? Okay. Okay. I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. And still with the Ron Stewart Show, we have the teacher Chromebook lease agreement. After this discussion, we will also be voting on this item. I welcome Senior Director of Capital Projects, Ron Stewart again, who will introduce our guest.
Thank you for the warm welcome. And I think our guest has already been introduced. I'm very thankful that our Director of Technology Information Systems is here and our expert on the topic. But we are asking the board to award a contract to Insight Financial Services for 250 Chromebooks on a 4-year lease. And I understand this is not a new concept for the board. They've heard this idea before.
Basically, we had come last month and we talked through the student Chromebook lease. And this would be the same organization, but this would be for Chromebooks for teachers. So a separate contract than our student process. Process
right.
isn't the right word, but.
Thank you. All right. Is there any discussion, questions, or comments? Is there a motion to approve? Director Dobson.
I'll take a turn. There we go. Yes, thank you. Chair Benaloga, I move that we award the contract in the amount of $238,000, $238,488.32 to Insight Financial Services for 250 teacher Chromebooks on a 4-year lease.
Is there a second?
Wachter, second.
It's been properly moved by Director Dobson and seconded by Director Wachter. Is there any discussion? I know, I almost mashed those two together. So we're going to do a roll call vote on the motion since there's money involved. Director Bauer.
Aye.
Director Dobson.
Aye.
Director Kemp.
Aye.
Director Wachter.
Aye.
Director Benaloga. Aye. Okay, the motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Thank you. All right, we are, I just want to thank everyone for coming and sharing your evening with us. And I want to leave you, and I want to thank you also for entrusting, I want to thank the board for entrusting myself and the vice chair to work on behalf of the board and work with our superintendent. And I want to leave you with the thought of the day from Jane Goodall. You know how I love my quotes. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference. You just have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. So thank you also for being here. It is now 8:16 p.m. and this public meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors is adjourned. Have a good evening.